Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to Monorail Monday. This is episode 26. Episode number 26. Now, usually this is the 6th episode of this season, and usually this would be the finale of the season. But we're going to continue going for another 2 episodes after this one. We're going to do 8 episodes this season before we pull the plug and put things to bed for a month or 2. So we're going to give you 2 more episodes coming the next 2 weeks. Then we're going to take a little bit of a break. So 2 bonus episodes coming the next 2 weeks. But let's get into episode 26 today. We're going to talk today about working overnight or just being in the park overnight after everything is closed. What goes on at Walt Disney World overnight. I did end up working a couple of overnights, usually during monorail testing was probably the stuff I did the most overnight. And that involved basically running Mark 6 monorails when they were new, came on the system. We had to run them around empty for so many miles before they would be cleared to be on the system. They often did run the trains during the day, like you might have 4 trains on the express beam, and one of them might be, say, Mark 6 Monorail Black, and as it was testing, you just wouldn't load anybody on it, and it would just follow the other trains around and just wouldn't load that train when it came in. But it was much easier to do that in the evening. They could test the train and they could do everything they wanted to it. They could stop operations, they could deal with problems, they could do computer stuff. Didn't have to affect the normal operation of the system. Could do all the testing you wanted. You could have a Mark IV chase train on there. That was often pretty fun to work. So a little time driving the train, a lot of time goofing off in the station waiting to be needed. In the Magic Kingdom or in Epcot and any of those other parks, a lot of people think, oh wow, it must be cool. I'd love to just like roam around there in the middle of the night, and you know, it's just so quiet. And it's not that quiet. Not that quiet. Once they clear the park out, many nights it is busy as they are pressure washing the pavement, the sidewalks. A lot of painting is going on overnights. So you end up with a lot of lights shining down on the park. There's people wandering around, security, custodial, maintenance guys. There's a lot of things that happen overnight that you're not necessarily going to see as you're exiting. Last kiss goodnight. It's so quiet. Look, there's nobody here. As soon as the park is clear, everything comes out of the woodwork and they start doing things. Whenever they do holiday transitions between like Halloween and Christmas, it's just like a busy factory in the middle of the day with all the stuff that's going on overnight. So there's a lot of activity that goes on overnight. Yes, people have tried to stay. People try and hide in bathrooms. They try and hide in bushes. It has been tried a lot of times. If you're thinking, I'd like to stay overnight, I'd like to sneak and see, it's been done over and over. People get caught. People get banned, arrested, kicked out, whatever. It's not quiet enough for you to just sneak around. There's a lot of activity going on, and anybody who stays overnight is going to stick out like a sore thumb. Aside from working in the parks, and I've covered some of the monorail testing, some things like that in the past, another thing they do is sometimes they film special events. One in particular that I'm thinking of, in 1991, they had the Disney World 20th Anniversary Special, aired on ABC. It was an hour-long special, and I'll put a link to it down below, and maybe show you a little quick clip here. But it was a 20th Anniversary Special with tons of stars, lots of stars that were involved, and celebrating 20 years of Walt Disney World. So one of the things they did was they shot a special musical segment with Amy Grant, who had a brand new album that year. That was her big pop mainstream. She was, well known in the Christian pop circles, but this was her big mainstream album. Baby Baby was the huge, massive hit off of that album. So during this special, Amy Grant performed Baby Baby in front of the Cinderella Castle at night in front of a crazy excited audience. That audience was all cast members, and yes, I was in the audience. I was in my wife at the time and myself. We both signed up to be a part of this. And basically, like after midnight, after the park had long since closed, they gathered all these cast members who were willing to participate in this. And after midnight, after 1 o'clock, they started filming this. And it was, you know, like the Christmas parade is shot weeks earlier and then presented here as the Christmas parade. This thing was shot well in advance of the special, and it was shot in the middle of the night with a bunch of cast members portraying the excited guests waiting to see Amy Grant. So Amy basically performed for us off and on for, my recollection is like, it was like 2 hours plus. And basically the main thing they were shooting was they were going to shoot Baby Baby. That was the song that was going to be in the special. So she played Baby Baby a lot, an awful lot. And then of course they just took composite shots from the entire night of shooting, and they were making sure they're getting the camera angles that they wanted for this. So we watched Amy perform Baby Baby dozens and dozens of times. But Amy was really, really good about entertaining everybody. She was joking with people, she was talking with people, and she performed a bunch of other songs. You know, when they were taking break or so, we need to look at something real quick, or we're going to look at changing an angle. She and her band would launch into some other songs, other hits of hers. It was really cool that she actually went and played some other songs and did some other things to keep everybody entertained. Sure, Baby Baby is a fine pop song, but once you've heard it 25, 30 times in a row, you're thinking, Freebird! Freebird, Amy! Play Freebird! That was a very cool experience, and we were there, I think by the time this thing ended, it was probably pushing around 3 a.m., and there's all of us just, yay, yay, jumping up and down, clapping and screaming and getting excited, and then, okay, cut, and everybody could just sort of look, you know, bored, and alright, I'm getting tired. Wish they had some snacks here. Action! Yay! Yay! Amy Grant! Oh my God! So that was pretty a pretty fun experience, and definitely something interesting overnight. A lot of the usual stuff that would be happening in the Magic Kingdom that night, as far as maintenance, like none of that was happening anywhere near the castle because of obviously the sound and the cameras. They didn't want any of that stuff to be anywhere in view. But that was a pretty interesting little overnight experience. And this one is going to actually take us out of the Magic Kingdom. There was I worked a bunch of overnights when I worked at Dollywood. Some of you may know I worked at Dollywood as well, and I'm going to throw this in because I'm talking about overnights in theme parks. And at Dollywood, I worked mostly on the Thunder Express, which was a mine train coaster, and that eventually, when that left Dollywood, I think it ended up going to one of the parks in Arkansas, I think is where that ended up going. So it was a mine train, and it was brought in from, I think, Six Flags St. Louis. It was at Dollywood for several years. It is in the actual location where, if you've been to Dollywood and ridden the Tennessee Tornado uses the exact same station and the track to the lift hill that the mine train did. Uses the exact same station. So that particular ride, roller coaster, we were having issues with it. The sensors were popping off all the time with false signals, which basically the sensors would tell the computer there's another train on the track, there's another train in the next block, and so it would stop the ride. Basically, a coaster train cannot enter the next section of track unless it's clear. And there's sensors all over the track. Most coasters, most modern coasters anyway, that will prevent trains from entering the same section as another train. We were having that happen all the time, except the computer was basically having ghost images would pop up, and it would just think there's suddenly 6 trains on the track, when there at most it was 3, and usually we were just running 2. But the computer would all of a sudden think, oh, there's a bunch of trains, everything stops where it is, we have to evacuate the ride, the maintenance guys have to reset the coaster. So we were having this issue, and it was coming up too much. We were having to evacuate people from the second lift hill, the third lift hill, walk them back in, wait till we could get the ride operating again. This is happening too much for a ride that isn't super high tech. These days you might have it with some brand new coaster that's using specialized software and things like that. This is a mine train with a computer system that was monitoring it. It should not have been happening as much. And one of the speculation was heat, that the heat was affecting the sensors. So we did a couple of overnights over the course of this one particular summer where they were trying to isolate the problem. They would just run train after train after train after train, trying to cause the problem and deal with it. And I think the last time we did it, they ultimately decided this heat was a problem, the sensors were a problem, so they ended up painting the track white right where the sensors were and tried to put something on to like prevent the heat from triggering these sensors as much. I think that's what ultimately ended up happening. But it was really interesting being there in the middle of the night. They had a different team member in each of the lift towers so that we could manually, if the ride stopped, we had to manually start up the lifts or be able to stop the lifts at maintenance's discretion. So pretty much spent an entire night running this coaster non-stop from about 8 o'clock at night until about 4 or 5 in the morning. Just constantly running it and then stop. Everything stops for a few minutes. During that time, we also did a little bit of overnight work helping run the Blazing Fury, which is the indoor part dark ride, part roller coaster ride. And so we got to walk around that in the middle of the night when the coaster wasn't running a little bit. That was pretty cool to walk around there in the lights with the ride not operating. At one point, they decided we all got to get something to eat. So they sent one of us, or actually 2 or 3 of us, ride ops were basically sent to like Taco Bell at 2 a.m. to go bring back food for everybody. And they gave us a bunch of money and we just brought back a pile of tacos and things like that. Certainly didn't get to do that at Disney. We were a little too far from restaurants to make that kind of run. Usually everybody would bring their own food or something like that to eat if you were going to be doing some overnight thing at Disney. So in addition to that, I'll talk a little bit about some of the special events that were going on. Obviously now you got like the Christmas party and the Halloween parties and stuff, and those are pretty huge. For a long time, Disney really was doing a lot of time with Night of Joy, which is the Christian music event, special event, as well as grad nights. And I did not like working either of those events. After working the first couple, it's kind of like, yeah, keep me away from this stuff. The grad nights, you could be a little less magical with the grads because they were usually they're teenagers. They're graduating seniors who think a lot of themselves, and they would usually be pretty bratty. But you could also get away with saying things to them that you would not say to a regular guest during the day. And they were all smuggling. Well, most of them were smuggling alcohol or drugs or something like that. We saw it all the time. The security guys caught people all the time, constantly booting people out for alcohol. So it was a double-edged sword there. There was some craziness that I wanted nothing to do with, and yet at the same time, you could just sort of freestyle and ad-lib and just do whatever it took to get those trains loaded, cram as many of those kids onto the monorails as possible. Tried to get out of that. And you'd think a Christian music festival kind of thing, a Night of Joy would be better. Not that much. Not that much. Between my time as a flight attendant and staying at hotels when there was some sort of Christian group event or something, or like youth groups, and my time at Disney, now it's the same thing as grad night. There was alcohol, there was craziness. Night of Joy was just not that much fun for me either. It was chaotic, and I really didn't want anything to do with working those nights. So I did those events early. And then I said, okay, I don't want I don't want to do these events. I'm going to actively try and bid away from those. By then I had enough seniority after a couple of years, I had enough seniority that I did not have to work those shifts during those events at all. Wanted nothing to do with them. So that's just a quick little look at overnights. I wanted to talk about a little bit about being in the parks after dark. We are going to come back next week with episode 27. Episode 27 of Monorail Monday will be back next week. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, comment below if you have any questions or any comments about being in the parks late at night or after dark, or even those overnight. They had the 24-hour days, and those were a lot of fun. Now, this is maybe not so much for some of the people who are passed out on the benches overnight, but thanks for watching. And remember, kids, have a good time all the time.